Hop in the car as I take you on a tour of Hugo Montenegro's home and grave in Palm Springs, California. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us here at Traces of Hollywood. And as you heard, today we'll be visiting some locations associated with the musician and film scorer Hugo Montenegro. There was something very surprising when I actually got to the graveyard, and you'll see that here in a bit. But first, let's talk about some of his most famous work that he's known for. He had a lot of chart hits with the Sergio Leone Dollar Trilogy, which is The Good, The Bad, and the Ugly, For a Few Dollars More, A Fistful of Dollars, where he would reinterpret those using his own electronic music synthesized style. He also did The Man from U.N.C.L.E, and he also is very well known for doing the theme for I Dream of Jeannie. He followed that with the Elvis Presley film Charo, another Western, and he also did some work for the music in the Partridge Family series. So he did a lot of music using a Moog, which is very trippy, very 60s, 70s. You guys are familiar with it if you hear it. And unfortunately, due to licensing, I can't play any clips, but it's easy to find online or on YouTube if you're interested. Here we'll actually start by going to his home in Palm Springs. This is where he had passed away, not in the house, but this is where he lived when he died. This is in South Palm Springs. I will mention that there are some conflicting sources online. Some say that he did die in the home, but I don't believe that's true because I found another mention about him passing away in a local hospital. So I know he had severe emphysema in the late 1970s, and that's what essentially forced him to quit his music career. And he remained in this home until he passed away in 1981. So I think he spent his last years in the house, but actually passed away in the hospital. And if anyone has any verifiable information on that, please do let me know. Some of you are probably familiar with the hill in the background there. To the left, which is out of view from where we are now, is the Southridge neighborhood that's been featured in a lot of videos because there are a lot of celebrities there. And here I actually passed by Hugo's house the first time. So I'll drive past a bit and we'll turn around and swing back. But you can see this neighborhood has a lot of duplex style homes. And of course the classical Southern California palm trees, Mexican palms, California palms. So it's very nice, I would say for Palm Springs, this would be considered a middle-class neighborhood, which I certainly find it to be beautiful. I think pretty much all the neighborhoods in Palm Springs have a beauty in their own way. So here we can see his side of the duplex. We'll do a quick pan here so you can see the entire thing. And of course, someone lives here today. It's a private residence. And I always like to mention, if you guys come out and tour any of these homes, people here are very accommodating. They're very used to people visiting, tourists taking pictures. But please, just respect their privacy and stay on the sidewalks or from the public roadways, and no one really seems to mind. And now we'll be moving on to the cemetery. And if you look to the left here, as we pass by, this church is the church where Liberace had his Palm Springs memorial service. The church is actually called the Our Lady of Solitude. It's a Catholic church, and it was also used as a filming location in the HBO film Behind the Candelabra. But it was depicted there as where the funeral took place. And online there's some mention as far as Hollywood celebrities that were at the funeral at this church. But Those were actually either in Los Angeles or in Las Vegas. This was just a memorial service. It was a little lightly attended as far as celebrities. It was more for locals and fans, as it were. And getting back to Hugo, we are approaching his burial location, which is at the Wellwood Murray Cemetery, which is the only cemetery that is in Palm Springs downtown proper. And coincidentally, it is part of the Palm Springs Cemetery District, along with the Desert Memorial Park, which is where Suzanne Summers, Sonny Bono, and Frank Sinatra are buried out in Cathedral City. And maybe you saw the video we did about Suzanne Summers' grave. And now we will just have a look at this plaque for the Wellwood Murray Cemetery and go ahead and head on through the gates. And as I'm filming this, I haven't actually been to Hugo's grave. I like to show up and search for it for the first time on camera when I visit a graveyard. I think it's a little more fun that we explore together. But this is a really beautiful location. I actually prefer it to the Forest Lawn and the Desert Memorial Cemeteries out in Cathedral City, just because that beautiful neighborhood you see up in the hills. It's actually in Palm Springs proper. I think it's, even though it's smaller and was actually, the gates were locked through most of summer because it gets really hot here and the town kind of shuts down. So it's not as accessible throughout the year. But I think it is a more aesthetically pleasing site for the most part. I think it's really beautiful. But have a look at this. I was a little shocked to see the condition of Hugo's grave. And I just felt an obligation to go ahead and tidy it up a bit. But I'll let you just have a look here, and you can just see the condition. There appears to be some sort of vines that were growing, covering the grave. And I don't want to imply that the cemetery isn't cared for. It was actually pretty clearly freshly mowed. And maybe they would have come around and trimmed this up, at some point. I can't really say, I'm not sure, but a lot of the other graves were very clear and clean and well cared for. So it just gave me the impression that Hugo's was forgotten to some degree. And again, I don't know how accurate that is, but again, I just wanted to tidy it up. I felt it was the least I could do, since I had made the effort to come here to visit him and pay my respects. So I certainly didn't mind at all taking the time to tidy up. And one thing I was not able to find in my research is if he has any family that are still living or if they're local. And it's certainly not the family's responsibility to clean up the grave. That's not why I'm mentioning that, but I'm just curious if he does have any living relatives, and if there might be some folks that do come and visit him in the graveyard here in Palm Springs. So again, we'll take another look around. I always like to get shots of the palm trees. I wasn't born in California, so that's something that is still very special to me. And I know a lot of you enjoy them. They're beautiful. We'll take a little sidebar over here to a grave that I featured in another video. It's Albert Frey, who is a very famous architect. He has some homes here that you can tour. The Illuminaire house here, which I featured in the video, which is now on the property of the Palm Springs Art Museum, just south of the museum next to their parking lot. And I do have something pretty special planned as a follow-up to the Albert Frey video. So one last shot of Hugo Montenegro's grave here before we head back. We're driving back here the way we came in, so you'll be able to get another quick view up here in the next block of the Our Lady of Solitude Church, where the Liberace Memorial service was held. And we're heading back towards the main street which is Palm Canyon Drive, and that's the street that goes through pretty much everything in downtown Palm Springs. So these locations are just a couple of blocks west of Palm Canyon. It's easy to get to these on foot if you're visiting and want to check any of this out on your own. So thank you for joining me to honor Hugo Montenegro. And also, if you haven't subscribed, please hit that little circle on the bottom right of your screen. I'm humbled by how quickly the channel has grown, and it's all due to your support. And thank you always for the comments you leave. I read every comment. I'll see you on the next one.